Hey guys, Dan Malone here from MassLive.com alongside, as always, Andrew Sear of the Massachusetts Daily Collegian. We're here at the Mullen Center in Amherst where just a short while ago UMass won 83-79 over LIU Brooklyn, a close game that really should not have been this close. They were ranked something like 275th in the nation by Ken Palm coming in. This was a game where they put Zach Turcotte, the walk-on the game program. It was kind of just a throwaway game heading into conference play starting up this weekend against LaSalle. I don't necessarily think anyone came in expecting a 30-point blowout like we saw against BU earlier in the month, but to have a game where UMass is down 10 in the second half, they get outscored like 14-2 to start the second half to get into that hole, and they have to fight and claw and climb their way out to the point where, you know, they're needing Dante Clark to go off. They got to have all these things come together. And even at the very end, LIU still hitting three-pointers, and they're kind of just like, we need to make these threes. This is a game they could have easily lost, and I think that's kind of a distressing sign for this team heading into conference play.
It was, and if you're UMass, I think the only way you can spin it into a positive note is that, thank God we got this one out of the way before Atlantic 10 conference plays. But like you said, just all around wasn't a great performance from the Minutemen. 39-36 in the first half. Then, like you said, LIU went up by as many as 10 after that 14-2 run. So just across the board, sloppy play all around.
Derek said that they took their foot off the gas.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I think they were up 9, and he said that they kind of got a little cute. They started turning the ball over. They started forcing some bad shots. Dante Clark, had a half to forget. He was 1 of 7 before he kind of turned things on there. And they've really put themselves in position to lose this game, to give this away. I don't think the atmosphere helped. There was barely 3,000 people there, no hoop band. It's obviously a midweek game over winter break when icy conditions out there. This had all the makings of kind of a trap game. And like you said, they kind of sidestepped it. They get away with it. They finished non-conference play with a 7-5 record, above 500. And I think this will be one they're going to be happy to just kind of watch the film, get their teaching moments out of it and say, okay, we're done with that. Get away from this. That was an awful game. I don't remember that.
Yeah, there was. And there's definitely a lot of critiquing points from this game. But I think if you're Coach Derek Kellogg, I think you're really impressed with the way your seniors kind of carry them over the hump in that edge, along with Clark. Trey Davis, Jabari Hines, and Bergantino, even of all people, really provided that spark in the second half.
He played well defensively.
He did.
He was part of that group of 5 that was out there when UMass made that run.
Yeah, he had 6 points and 7 rebounds today. Played 15 minutes in the second half, which for Bergantino, that's a lot. That's a lot of minutes. And the 3 of them combined scored 17 of the last 21 points for UMass. They kind of carried them over the end, and when the game was not so much out of reach, but when UMass had to start hitting their free throws, they got the ball in the hands of the guys like Davis, Hines, and Dante Clark for that matter too. But that's what you need out of your senior guys, especially going to Atlantic 10 play.
On a night like this too. Yeah.
Exactly. And those are the 3 guys, especially Davis and Hines in particular, really going to have to do a lot of the carrying for this team, especially when you saw, like in the first half, Dante Clark was, I think, 1 of 7. He looked pretty bad in that first half. I think he'll be the first to tell you that. But he turned it around quickly. But going into conference play, these games are going to get a lot harder. And the senior leaders on each team are really going to kind of carry the young guys over the hump. You saw Hines get into early foul trouble. Holloway getting to early foul trouble.
Which is too bad because this is a game where he might have excelled in. The LIU had no size. They didn't play a guy over 6'7" regularly, and he's on the bench. Malik Hines comes in, and he played well in a short amount. He was more impactful than he's been pretty much all month. But he, too, ended up on the bench, and like you said, it really fell to Bergantino to kind of pick up the slack. And credit to him, he did it, especially coming off a game where he was benched against Providence for not really playing with that kind of grit and effort that Kellogg likes to see. And the message was received, as Derek said, and he came back and played well.
He did. And one, I think, final thing we have to look at will be Zach Coleman's status. He's a guy who's dealt with knee injuries and injuries in general before in his career.
All the way back to high school. Some pretty bad stuff, like microfractures, torn ACL, stuff like that.
Yeah. So his MRI, Kellogg said, will be scheduled for tomorrow, which is Wednesday. Seth Berger slid into that starting role. I thought, even though the stats really don't show it, I thought he played pretty well.
He grabbed 10 rebounds.
Yeah, team high 10 rebounds.
Yeah.
2 block shots, too. Played 35 34 minutes. So
He could have had a couple extra buckets too. He made a couple nice plays where, he kind of jumps a couple passes. I think he got whistled on one that I didn't think was a good call.
Yep.
He came, this close to getting a couple extra steals and easy buckets, and that is exactly what Derek. I mean, Derek loves Seth.
Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't hide it. Every time we talk to him about it, he's singing his praises, and he basically said that Seth probably deserved to be starting at this point anyway. And it's unfortunate that it becomes as the result of an injury to a teammate and a friend. But when he's on the floor, good things happen, and we saw that again tonight.
And I think that he's going to be a guy that UMass is going to have to rely on in conference play. Even though he's only a sophomore, he's been around for a few years now, had that red shirt last year. But Kellogg has said multiple times he still needs to get in better shape.
A lot of guys do. Antoine Space, too,
exactly.
In the second half.
So that's going to be a huge key point for them moving forward in the A-10 play. But with Berger, at times he was even playing the 5 out there. He was the biggest guy in the court.
Yes, he was.
When they went with that 4-guard look. So he's going to be someone that UMass is going to have to rely on. And like you said, he's not going to go out there and score 20 points tonight. That's just not his game. But he's the kind of guy that does all the little things. And the less you're noticing him, it's almost the better. Because that means he's just kind of always in that right spot, D'ing up defensively. So he's going to be a guy that UMass is going to have to rely on moving forward, especially if you keep seeing the freshmen get in foul trouble.
And Zach Coleman can't come back.
Zach Coleman can't come.
Antoine Space is still having a little trouble adjusting. So
exactly.
We'll see.
I don't think you're going to be seeing this kind of performance out of Bergantino every night. Could be wrong. But his spark off the bench is what's going to have to be key for the Minutemen. And for him to play 15 minutes in the second half, I don't know if you talked to Dark before the season, he'd expect that to happen too many times. So
yeah, sure.
I think moving forward, we still have a lot to learn about this team. And I think everyone's excited for conference play to get going.
Yeah, and that'll start on Sunday at LaSalle. Going to Philly is always fun for us, but it's a tough draw for UMass. They've had their fair share of troubles in that city. So I know we're looking forward to getting started in A-10 play, non-conference play. UMass finished at 7-5. I think they probably left a couple games out there, but they're above 500. We'll see what they can do as they get started in a couple of these games that are going to be some real grinded out type games.
Yep.
All right. Thank you very much.
Happy New Year, guys.